So I read an article the other day talking about wireless charging, how it is the best way to charge your phone, and also how it is the way of charging in the future. Well, with the recent reports of the iPhone 13, I believe, or whatever phone goes this path, but if they go down the route of abandoning the charging port, wireless charging will then be the only way to charge your phone or whatever magnetic way they come up with. But I read an article talking about the dangers of wireless charging and how it actually is worse for your battery. And a lot of people are trying to debunk that. And I gotta be honest with you, I kind of agree with that article. I'll leave the link in the description. You can read it yourself. But yeah, I agree. Wireless charging is still a problem. For starters, nobody has addressed the heating issue. Now, OnePlus recently did 30 watts fast wireless charging, which seems a step in the right direction to getting it to the fastest speeds as possible. And as we know, warp charging, the heat comes to the brick using the cable. The heat goes to the brick rather than the phone. But the thing is, that's proprietary to OnePlus. That's their technology. If any other manufacturer like Samsung or Apple, they don't have that kind of stuff. Instead, they have to put cooling fans in the pads. But before I dive in a little bit further, let me just address wireless charging. I am a heavy wireless charging user. I have a wireless charging mat in my car. When I put my phone down on a stand, it charges. At bed, when I go to bed, I have it right next to me. I have the dual charger. I have a ton of wireless chargers in my house. And the only time I ever really hardwire is when I give it a fast charge because, again, the speeds are not there with wireless charging. But with that said, though, I do like it as a convenience. I could just put it down, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, and it's refreshed. But the problem that people don't realize is that wireless charging is still a problem because of the heating issue. As the coils in the back heat up with the pad, the battery builds up a lot of heat. I hope you know that. And with that heat helps to depreciate the battery, and it makes it degrade faster than when you fast charge it. Now, some of these phones have built-in internal cooling, they have the ventilation fan, but like I said, it's a heating problem. And as long as they can't solve that heating issue, it will degrade the battery faster and make it last less versus when you charge it wired. Because when you charge it wired, even though it's a huge amount of current and voltage, at least it cools and it's able to spread the heat from the charging port. And if you use a slower charge at 12 volts, or so let's say you just turn fast charging off, it helps to decrease the heat. Now, of course, you can turn off fast wireless charging and get a slower charge, but it will cause a longer charge. When you do that, in my experience, from wired to wireless, I could charge my phone with regular charging plugged in at 2 hours. 2 hours and 30 minutes respectively. With wireless charging, 4 hours. So that's a 2-hour difference. So which one do you think I'm going to go towards? But the main reason why I also say it's a problem is because there are still companies adapting wireless charging across the board. Coffee shops and places, yes, they are adapting them. Airports are getting wireless charging mats. But again, the speeds are not up to date. And the amount of people that use them are going to congest the amount of current and voltage, again, going to these charging stations. That's why fast charging is more superior. You get better charge, there's no interruption, and you have power delivery. That's as best as you're going to get. But I think my main problem with wireless charging, in my opinion, my problem, is that it still has a lot of faults. And if they're going to drop the charging port, they need to perfect wireless charging, which is a mistake. And I know Apple's going to do this because they're not going to switch to USB-C. It's a fact. They're not going to. So they'd rather drop the port, which is what they're probably going to do. And if that's the case, then everybody's going to follow through. And I wouldn't say wireless charging is terrible, but it's still insufficient because there are still so many errors that they haven't fixed out. But if they were to take maybe one more year to kind of work at it, like what OnePlus did with Warp wireless charging, figure out the bugs, tweak the speeds, make it nice, have the heat go to the mat or to the brick, so that way your phone doesn't overheat, and that way your batteries can still maintain good charging and also low heat. Because using a ventilation fan is fine, but the phone ultimately heats up. And something I notice with Samsung fast charging, wireless and wired, using the 45-watt brick, my phone wired actually heats up less than the wireless charging mat. So I think overall, they really need to continue working on wireless charging. And while I do think it's a convenience that cars are putting in the mats, and I do appreciate they are trying to spread this out, they still need to work on the heating. If they don't address that, then I don't think a portless phone will work. There are tons of big YouTubers out there defending wireless charging. That's because they don't know the principles. They don't know on a daily. That's just because they use it every day. But when you open the phone, you actually work with people that know what they're talking about, like somebody like me that has taken classes that see all of the steps that go into wireless charging. You will understand then that it will heat up badly, and why OnePlus, in my opinion, probably has it set better when it comes to fast charging and wirelessly. Of course, we'll have to wait and see in the long-term use. But overall, they really need to address the heating issue, and they really need to keep working at it, because again, once that port is gone, you're not going to be able to plug it in. So good luck carrying a charging mat around if that's the case.